I still remember the exact sound the office door made the day I fired them both. Not a slam, not a bang, just a soft, expensive click like the final period at the end of a very long sentence. I never wanted to write, but let me take you back to before that click. Way back. To when I still believed love could be measured in Sunday. Pancakes and the way a man kisses the top of your head when he thinks you're asleep. My name is Marlene. Most people just call me Marley. For 23 years, I was Mrs. Marlene Whitfield, wife of David Whitfield, CFO of Whitfield and Associates, a mid-sized logistics firm here in Charlotte. David built that company from nothing but a rented desk and a second-hand laptop. I was right there beside him, answering phones after the kids went to bed, stuffing envelopes until my fingers smelled like glue, missing school plays because payroll had to go out on Friday. We had two children, Caleb, who's 26 now and living in Seattle with his fiancée, and Lily, 21, still finishing up college on the scholarships David and I scraped together. Beautiful kids, polite, the kind who still call on Sunday nights just to say they love us. Our house sat on a quiet cul-de-sac in Ballantine, pale yellow brick. Black shutters, the big oak in the front yard that David hung a swing on when Lily was 4. Every morning for 20 years, I woke up to the smell of coffee and the low hum of David's electric razor in the bathroom. He'd come out in his starched white shirt, knot his tie while leaning in the doorway, and ask, "How did I get so lucky, Marley girl?" Then he'd kiss me, soft and quick, grab the lunch I'd packed the night before, and leave. That was normal life. That was the rhythm I thought would carry us into old age. The first little crack appeared on a Tuesday in March. I'd driven downtown to bring David the umbrella he forgot. It was pouring. The kind of Carolina rain that soaks you in 10 seconds. His office was on the 12th floor. I knew every inch of that building. The security guard who always teased me about my sweet tea addiction. The receptionist who kept butterscotch candies in a jar shaped like a cat. When the elevator doors opened, I saw her first at Kayla 20-5, maybe 26. Blonde hair in one of those perfect low buns, pencil skirt the color of ripe peaches. She was standing at David's door, laughing at something he'd said, one hand resting lightly on his forearm. Nothing scandalous, not really. But the way he was looking at her, I knew that look. I'd been married to it for 2 decades. It used to be aimed at me across crowded Christmas parties, across hospital rooms when the kids were born. I stood there holding the umbrella like a fool, rain dripping off the tips onto the marble floor. David saw me and smiled, big. Easy, nothing guilty in it yet. Hey, honey, you didn't have to come all this way. He crossed the lobby, kissed my cheek, took the umbrella. Kayla gave me a bright little finger wave and disappeared into the copy room. I told myself I was being silly. Men notice pretty girls. Pretty girls notice successful men. It's biology, not betrayal, but small things started piling up like pebbles before a landslide. The credit card statement. With a hotel charge in Raleigh on a night he told me he was stuck late at the warehouse. The way his phone now lived face down on the kitchen counter. Even when he was flipping pancakes. How he stopped reaching for me in bed, claiming exhaustion, then slept like a dead man while I stared at the ceiling fan going round and round. Tried talking myself out of it. David and I had survived worse. His mother's cancer. My miscarriage between Caleb and Lily, the year the company almost folded. We were solid. We were the couple other people looked at and said, "I want what they have." So I swallowed the pebbles. I smiled brighter. I packed better lunches. Then came the night of our 23rd anniversary. I'd made reservations at the Fig Tree, our favorite little spa on Elizabeth Avenue. I bought a new dress, nothing flashy, just soft burgundy that made me feel pretty again. I even wore the pearl earrings he gave me the year Lily was born. 7 o'clock came. 7:30. 8 dot at 8:17. My phone buzzed. David. So sorry, baby. Emergency with the Raleigh account. Rain check tomorrow. Love you. I sat in that restaurant alone for 20 more minutes, watching the waiter's pity grow with every refill of my water glass. Finally, I asked for the check, took the little chocolate box they give you at the end, and drove home in silence. When I walked into our bedroom, his suitcase was open on the bed, half packed, shirts folded the way only I fold them, corners crisp. And sticking out of the side pocket was the corner of a lace bra I'd never seen before. Bright peach. Size small. I stood there holding our anniversary chocolate, listening to the house tick around me, the fridge downstairs, the grandfather clock in the hallway. My own heart making a sound like something ripping. That was the moment the pebbles became a mountain. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the bra across the room like they do in movies. I just sat down on the edge of our bed, the chocolate box still in my hand, and opened my phone. The hotel charge from Raleigh was still there, glaring at me from the banking app. I clicked it. Then I clicked the date before and the date after. Same hotel. 3 nights in a row. Always the same room number, 1218. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the chocolate to start melting against my palm. Then I did something I swore I'd never do. I opened David's laptop. He left it charging on the dresser, lid half closed like he was in a hurry. The password was still Lily's birthday. The desktop photo was still the 4 of us at the beach in 2019. All sunburned and laughing. His email was open. There was a folder labeled K. Raleigh. Inside, plane tickets for 2, restaurant confirmations, a heart emoji thread that made my stomach turn inside out. And then the last email, sent that very afternoon, from Kayla M. Subject. Tonight, can't wait to celebrate properly. Room 1218 is already booked under my name this time. Bring the ring. I said yes in my head the first night you kissed me. Time to make it real. Attached was a photo. Her left hand against white hotel sheets, a diamond solitaire catching the flash. My diamond. The one David had upgraded for her 20th anniversary. The one I thought was in the safe because he'd said, let's get it clean for Lily when she graduates. I closed the laptop so gently you'd have thought it was made of glass. I didn't cry yet. The tears were there, hot behind my eyes, but something colder was moving in first. A kind of stillness I'd never felt before. David came home around midnight. I was sitting in the dark living room, the melted chocolate wiped clean, the lace bra folded neatly on the coffee table like evidence. He smelled like her. Perfume, something young and fruity, mixed with the rain. Marley? His voice was soft, careful. Why are you still up? I turned on the lamp. He saw the bra. His face did this thing like someone had punched him in slow motion. Baby, I can explain. Don't, I said. My voice sounded like someone else's, calm, flat. Don't lie tonight. I'm too tired. He started anyway. The usual script. It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake, midlife crisis. She threw herself at him. He was going to end it. I just listened, watching the man I'd loved since I was 22 shrink smaller and smaller with every word. When he finished, I asked one question. Is the ring in your pocket right now? His hand went to his jacket like I'd burned him. I stood up. Give it to me. He hesitated, then pulled out the little blue box. Tiffany. Same as the upgrade. I opened it. The diamond winked at me like it knew every promise it had broken. This was for our 20th, I said. You told me you were keeping it safe. Marley, take it. Take her. Take everything. I pressed the box into his hand. But understand this, David. When you walk out that door tonight, you don't come back. Ever. He started crying then. Real tears. The kind that come when a man finally sees the size of the hole he's dug. I didn't watch him pack. I went to Lily's old room, closed the door, and sat on her twin bed that still smelled faintly of teenage perfume and dryer sheets. That's when the tears came. Not loud, just steady, like a faucet someone forgot to turn off. I cried for the girl who used to wait up for him with warm cookies. I cried for the woman who ironed his shirts at 2 a.m. so he'd look sharp for investors. I cried for every I love you that turned out to be a loan he never intended to repay. At 4:17 a.m. I stopped crying and opened my phone again. I had $11,432 in our joint savings. He'd already moved most of it, lawyer fees, I guessed, or starting over money for his new life. But he'd forgotten one thing. Years ago, when the company was tiny and terrifying, David had put 18% of the shares in my name for tax reasons. He'd laughed about it, said it was worthless paper back then. I opened the brokerage app. I hadn't touched in 15 years. The shares were still there, and because Whitfield and Associates had grown quietly, steadily, profitably, those shares were now worth just over $4 million. I stared at the number until the sun came up. Then I called my cousin Renee, who's married to a corporate attorney in Atlanta. Renee, I whispered into the phone, I need to know how to buy the rest of a company before anyone realizes I'm doing it. She was quiet for 3 heartbeats. Then, Marley, honey, are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. That was the morning I stopped being Mrs. David Whitfield. That was the morning I started becoming the majority shareholder. The next 6 months passed like I was living underwater, everything slow and muffled. But underneath, I was moving fast. David thought I was grieving in the house. He texted every few days. How are you holding up? Can we talk? I miss my family. I answered just enough to keep him calm. Short, polite, wounded wife replies. Meanwhile, I was on the phone with brokers before the market opened, wiring money from accounts he'd forgotten existed, buying every stray share that came up for sale, quietly, through shell accounts Renee's husband set up. 1% here, 2% there. Never enough at once to trip the reporting threshold. Sold the good jewelry, the pieces he'd given me over the years. I took a night job, proofreading legal transcripts so I'd have fresh cash that couldn't be traced. Back to joint funds, I learned words I never thought I'd need. Poison pill, drag-along rates, supermajority vote. David and Kayla moved into a sleek new loft in South End. I knew because I saw the photos on her Instagram private account. But our daughter Lily still followed her from college and didn't know any better. Kayla posted sunsets from their balcony, her hand with my ring sparkling in every shot. Captions like, new chapter, same heart. I screenshotted everything. Not for court. For fuel. By late September, I owned 51.7%, the day the last block of shares settled. I stood in my kitchen in the same robe I'd worn the night he left, poured myself a cup of yesterday's coffee, and smiled for the first time in half a year. Then I called the board secretary, Mrs. Delgado, who'd been with the company since David hired her at 22 weeks pregnant. Mrs. Delgado, I said, voice steady as Sunday, this is Marlene Whitfield. I need an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning at 9. In person, no exceptions. She hesitated. Ma'am, Mr. Whitfield, usually Mrs. Delgado, I now own controlling interest. You'll send the notice within the hour, or you'll be looking for a new employment by lunch. Your choice. Click. The meeting was held in the same wood-paneled boardroom where David once proposed to me on one knee with a ring from a vending machine because we couldn't afford anything else. 7 board members. 6 men, 1 woman. All of them looking confused when I walked in wearing a simple black suit I'd bought off the rack at Belk. First new outfit in years. David strolled in late, AirPods still in, laughing at something on his phone. Caleb trailing 2 steps behind, carrying his coffee like a trophy. He stopped dead when he saw me at the head of the table. Marley? What is this? I didn't answer him yet. I waited until Caleb tried to take the empty chair beside him. Miss, I said gently, employees sit along the wall. This table is for board members and controlling shareholders only. Her mouth opened, closed. David started to bluster. I slid the folder across the table. Inside, share certificates, SEC filings, the signed proxy statements. As of 9:42 this morning, I said, I am the majority shareholder of Whitfield and Associates, which means under Section 4.2 of the bylaws, David himself wrote, I can appoint and remove officers with a simple majority vote. Meeting called to order. You could have heard a pin drop on that mahogany. I didn't raise my voice. I never had to. Motion to remove David Whitfield as Chief Financial Officer, effective immediately. All in favor? Every hand went up. Some quickly, some shaking, but up. David's face went the color of old oatmeal. Marley, you can't motion to remove Kayla Morrison from all employment with this company, also effective immediately. Again, every hand dot security. 2 polite gentlemen I'd hired the night before appeared in the doorway. David tried to stand. His knees wouldn't hold him at first. This is my company. He shouted. Actually shouted. I'd never heard him raise his voice in 23 years. No, darling, I said, soft enough that only he could hear. It's mine now. Kayla started crying pretty hysterical tears. Mascara stayed perfect, of course. David looked around the room for anyone to save him. Nobody met his eyes dot as security took his arm. He whispered, What about the kids? I leaned in so the microphones wouldn't catch it. Caleb and Lily will be fine. They're Whitfields. And Whitfields take care of their own. The video someone recorded on their phone leaked by noon dot, not by me. I didn't need to. People love justice that wears lipstick and speaks in complete sentences dot by 3 p.m. It was all over local news. Founder's wife takes control in dramatic boardroom coup. By 6 p.m. Kayla's Instagram was private again. Then gone dot by 9 p.m. David was served with divorce. Papers at the embassy suites off Tyvilla. He'd apparently been staying there since the loft lease was in Kayla's name and she'd changed the locks. I didn't watch the video. I didn't need to. I was too busy signing my new title on the company. Letterhead. Marlene Whitfield Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. The first Monday I walked in as CEO, I wore the same burgundy dress from our ruined anniversary dinner. I wanted to remember why I was there. Not for hate. For healing. The office felt different, quieter. People stood a little straighter when I passed. Some looked afraid, some looked relieved. A few of the older ones, the ones who'd watched me lick envelopes and bring casseroles when their kids were sick, cried right there in the hallway and hugged me like I'd come back from the dead. I didn't fire anyone else. I didn't need to dot. David had run the place like a boys' club for years. I just opened the windows and let some light in. Promotions for the women who'd been passed over. Real maternity leave. Mental health days that didn't come with side-eye. Simple things he used to call soft. The company made more money that year than the 3 before it combined. Turns out people work harder when they're treated like humans. David tried to fight the divorce. He hired the most expensive shark in Charlotte and claimed I'd stolen the company with marital assets. The judge, a woman about my age with kind eyes and no patience for nonsense, looked at the share certificates from 2008 and asked David one question. Did you or did you not transfer these shares to your wife of your own free will? He had to say yes. The gavel fell like a church bell. I gave him exactly what the law said he was entitled to. Nothing from the company. Half the remaining cash, about $38,000 after he'd spent the rest on lawyers in Kayla's new wardrobe and the old Jeep he loved. I kept the house. He didn't fight me on it. I think he was too ashamed to step foot on that cul-de-sac again. Kayla lasted 3 months in Charlotte. Last I heard, she'd moved to Florida. Ring sold on some Facebook group, working reception at a tanning salon. I don't hate her anymore. Hate takes too much energy, and I'm busy living. The kids came home for Christmas that first year. Caleb hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. Lily cried into my shoulder and whispered, "Mom, I'm so proud of you, it hurts." We put the tree in the same spot it's always been. I cooked the same ham, the same scalloped potatoes. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like peace lived here again. Some nights I still walk past my bedroom and expect to see David's shoes by the door. Grief is funny. It doesn't leave all at once. It leaves in pieces. One morning, you realize you didn't think about him until noon. Then one whole day passes. Then a week. I started taking painting classes on Tuesday nights at the community center. Watercolors. Terrible at it. But the teacher says joy isn't about skill. I like the way the colors bleed into each other when you add too much water. It feels honest I date sometimes. Coffee, mostly. Nothing serious. I'm not in a hurry. I learned I like my own company. I like eating cereal for dinner while watching true crime shows. I like falling asleep without someone snoring beside me. I like waking up knowing every decision in this house is mine to make, and every quarter, when the profit numbers come in, I send a small check to the women's shelter downtown. The one I sat in once, the night David left, clutching a suitcase and wondering where I'd sleep. They never knew it was me sending the money. I sign it, a grateful alumna. Sometimes people ask if I ever think about forgiving him. I think about it the way you think about rain in July. Sure, it happens, but I'm not standing outside waiting for it. Forgiveness isn't a gift you hand over. It's a door you stop locking from the inside. I stopped locking mine. That's enough. David lives in a 1-bedroom off Pineville now. Drives for one of those rideshare apps on weekends to make ends meet. I know because Lily saw him once and told me quietly, like she was confessing a sin. I just nodded and changed the subject. Some stories end without fireworks. They just fade like old photographs left in the sun. I still keep one picture of us in the drawer, our wedding day. Both of us too young and too sure love was easy. I don't look at it often. When I do, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel something closer to pity, and then I feel nothing at all. That's how I know I'm healed. Ladies. If you're watching this and you're in that dark bedroom right now, holding melted chocolate or a stranger's underwear or an empty side of the bed, listen to me. You are not the leftovers of someone else's bad choices. You are the whole feast, waiting to be tasted by someone who knows what you're worth. And if nobody else lines up, eat alone. The table is yours. I became the boss of the company my husband built to leave me behind. But more than that, I became the boss of my own life. And let me tell you something I learned on the 12th floor that day. When the door clicked shut behind them, power doesn't always wear a suit and shout. Sometimes it wears a burgundy dress, speaks softly, and simply refuses to move out of its own way. Think why. All for sitting with me through this long story. If it helped even one of you feel a little less alone tonight, then every tear I cried was worth it. Now I have to ask, be honest with me in the comments. If you'd been in my shoes, would you have taken the company? Or would you have walked away and let him keep it? I truly want to know what you would have done. And if you're not already part of this little family, hit that subscribe button so we can keep talking. We've got coffee and tissues and plenty of room on this couch. Until next time, take care of your hearts, darlings. They're the only home you'll ever truly own.